The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the low thrum of 1,000 different technologies, each civilization's preferred method of maintaining life support, creating a symphony of alien efficiency. Alexander Hayes stood at the edge of the human delegation, his military dress uniform feeling suddenly inadequate among the bioluminescent robes and quantum phase armor of the assembled species. He was 23, fresh from the Terran Defense Academy, and had no business being here. But when humanity's first contact had escalated into a diplomatic crisis 3 months ago, someone had decided that young, adaptable minds were exactly what Earth needed at the negotiating table. "The matriarch approaches," whispered Commander Chen, the delegation leader, her voice tight with protocol. Alexander's attention snapped to the central platform where Orla of House Velthara materialized, not walked, but seemed to phase into existence as if reality itself had been waiting for her permission to render her visible. She was Kaloran, one of the most ancient and powerful species in the known galaxy, and she looked every bit the part. Her skin shimmered with an opalescent quality that shifted between deep purples and silvers. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern across her face, surveyed the chamber with an intelligence that had witnessed millennia. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her form humanoid but distinctly alien, elegant in ways that human evolution had never considered. Behind her, barely reaching her waist, was a small figure that made Alexander's breath catch. The child, Orla's daughter, he realized, looked no more than 4 years old in human terms, though he knew Kaloran Agging worked differently. She had her mother's opalescent skin, but only 2 eyes, large and curious, fixed directly on the human delegation. "Esteemed representatives," Orla's voice resonated through the chamber, translated instantly by the neural implants every delegate wore. "We gather today to address the territorial dispute between the Kaloran expanse and the emerging Terran alliance." Alexander had studied the briefings obsessively during the 3-week journey to the council station. The dispute was, putting it mildly, human colony ships, pushing ever outward in humanity's characteristic way, had established settlements in a system the Kalorans considered sacred, the birthplace of their species' first interstellar vessel. It was the equivalent of aliens setting up mining operations on Earth's moon. Tensions had escalated. Ships had been fired upon. 3 human colonists were dead, and a Kaloran patrol craft had been destroyed. War seemed inevitable, and humanity, young, brash, technologically inferior humanity, would be crushed. "However," Orla continued, and Alexander detected something in her tone that the translation software couldn't quite capture, "I propose an alternative to bloodshed, a binding of houses, as our ancient customs dictate." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien sounds. Commander Chen's face went pale. "She can't be serious," she muttered. "What does that mean?" Alexander asked. "A political marriage," Chen replied, her voice barely audible over the chaos. "A union between Kaloran nobility and a human representative. It would make the disputed territory shared ground, preventing war, but also binding us to their customs and laws for generations." Orla raised one elegant hand, and silence fell instantly. "I understand this is unconventional, but I have made a vow, witnessed by the council 3 cycles ago when I assumed leadership of House Velthara after my mate's passing." Her lower 2 eyes briefly closed. Grief, Alexander's cultural training, reminded him. "I swore that I would marry whoever my daughter, Lysa, chose when she came of age." The small girl beside her looked up with those enormous eyes, seemingly unaware of the political earthquake her existence had triggered. "But matriarch," one of the council members objected, a crystalline being whose voice sounded like wind chimes. "Lady Lysa is barely past her first molting. The choosing ceremony is decades away." "Normally, yes," Orla agreed. "But Kaloran law is clear. If a political marriage is proposed and my daughter indicates acceptance of a suitor before her coming of age, the betrothal is binding, to be consummated when she reaches maturity. I propose this now, with the understanding that the chosen human would become part of House Velthara, learning our ways, helping to bridge our peoples." Alexander felt every eye in the chamber turn toward the human delegation. Commander Chen was already calculating. He could see it in her face. This was a way out. An insane, unprecedented way out, but a way nonetheless. The human representative would need to be of appropriate standing, another council member noted. Young enough to match the timeline, proven in some capacity. A warrior scholar, Orla said, and Alexander could have sworn her upper right eye fixed directly on him. One who understands both conflict and diplomacy. The humans have such among their delegation, I believe. Alexander's stomach dropped. He had a degree in xenoanthropology and 3 commendations from the border conflicts with the Rigelian pirates. On paper, he was exactly what she described. In reality, he was terrified. Commander Chen's hand gripped his shoulder. "Hayes," she whispered urgently, "this is your decision, but understand what's at stake. 50 million colonists. A potential war that could set humanity back centuries." "No pressure," Alexander muttered. Before Chen could respond, the small girl, Lysa, did something that no one expected. She pulled away from her mother's side and walked across the platform, directly toward the human delegation. Protective barriers flickered, deactivated by Orla with a gesture that suggested either remarkable trust or a test. Alexander found himself stepping forward, some instinct driving him to meet the child halfway. They stood facing each other at the edge of the platform, the young human soldier and the alien princess, while the entire Galactic Council held its collective breath. Lysa tilted her head, studying him with an intensity that seemed far beyond her apparent years. She reached out one small hand, 3 delicate fingers extended. Alexander hesitated, then knelt, bringing himself to her eye level, and extended his own hand. Her touch was warm, surprisingly so, and her skin felt like silk over steel. "You're scared," she said, her voice high and clear, speaking perfect English without the translation implant. "But not of me, of failing people you love." Alexander swallowed hard. "Yes. Mama says being scared, but doing the right thing anyway is what makes someone brave." She looked back at Orla, then at Alexander again. "You would learn our songs, our stories, help humans and Kalorans be friends." "I would try," Alexander said honestly. "I can't promise I'd be good at it, but I would try my absolute hardest." Lysa smiled, and it transformed her face into something radiant. She turned to the chamber and declared in that same clear voice, "This one. I choose this one." The silence that followed could have swallowed stars. Orla moved then, crossing to stand beside her daughter, looking down at Alexander, who remained kneeling. "My daughter has chosen. Alexander Hayes of Earth, do you accept this bond? Understand that you would leave your military service, live among the Kalorans, and in 15 of your years, when Lysa reaches maturity, fulfill this political union." 15 years, half his lifetime again. Learning an alien culture, becoming a bridge between species, marrying someone he just met who was currently 4 years old. It was insane. It was also necessary. Alexander stood, looking Orla directly in her upper 2 eyes, the ones, his training said, that conveyed respect. "I accept. For my people and yours, I accept." The matriarch's expression shifted into something that might have been approval. "Then let it be recorded. House Velthara and the Terran Alliance are bound. The disputed territories will be administered jointly. Alexander Hayes is hereby betrothed to Lady Lysa, to be wed when she comes of age." Commander Chen stepped forward, her voice carrying official weight. "Earth recognizes this bond and commits to its terms. Specialist Hayes acts with our full authority." As the council erupted into discussion, protocols and paperwork already beginning, Lysa tugged on Alexander's hand. "Will you tell me about Earth? Mama showed me pictures. You have so much water." Alexander looked down at this alien child who had just chosen him, for reasons he couldn't fathom, and then at her mother, who watched with an expression he was only beginning to understand might be relief. Orla had found a way to prevent a war and honor her vow simultaneously. Whether she had orchestrated Lysa's choice, or the girl had acted on genuine instinct, he might never know. "I'll tell you everything," he promised. "We have 15 years after all." And in that moment, as the galaxy's fate shifted on the choice of a child, Alexander Hayes began the strangest journey humanity had ever asked of one of its sons.